We are live, apparently.
What's up, everybody? Trevor Young here with the Real Talk with Real Estate Investors, joined by my partner, Pedro Meneses. And boy, do we have a great show for you guys today. We've got Mr. Drewbie Wilson, one of my best buds here to share some trips and some tricks and some tips and some mindset things, here in this group that I think everybody will really benefit from. Drewbie is not really a real estate investor per se, but everybody can benefit from what he's going to say today and share with the group. So, man, Drewbie, I just want to say welcome and welcome to the show, man. We're glad to have you on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, fellas. I know we've been friends for a long time, and I've been watching you guys as you created this show, and you've been building this group and this network, and it's absolutely incredible to watch. I'm super proud of you guys. It's just so awesome to see the value that you're providing to your, real estate investor community and how you're helping people achieve their goals of, financial freedom and success and just winning in all areas. And so I was, when you reached out and asked me to be a part of this, I was just absolutely honored. And, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm hoping that even though I'm not in the real estate investing game, we can share a little bit of tips and tricks with some of the people that will really help them take their game to the next level.
Yeah, I think you can share a lot of value here, man, right now in this episode. And definitely, I would love you to talk a little bit later about your closer meme program and how you've been able to implement memes in your strategies and how you become a meme lord in sales pretty much. But why don't go ahead and share us a little bit with your of your background, your stories, so people can get to know you better, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I am the vice president here at 𝗥𝗲 Academy. We do coaching and mentoring for small business owners, real estate investors, a lot of different industries. But how did I get here? So it's been a whirlwind of a last year, 18 months or so, which is about the time that I met both of you fellas. So my story, I grew up in, kind of a not so great childhood. I kind of fooled around in school. I didn't get the best grades, barely graduated. I was what you would call the typical slacker. Smoked a lot of joints, skateboarded, played a lot of video games, just really didn't have that sort of drive or motivation to do more. When I turned 18, I got a job as a nuclear pharmacy technician. And so I worked third shift, and basically my job was taking radioactive isotopes, combining it with medicine, and then sending it off to hospitals and clinics. And so it was at this job that I started to develop a pretty strong work ethic. Everybody that was there was always pushing me and driving me to work harder and do some different things. And so I did that for a number of years, but it was a third shift job. With that being said, I ballooned myself up over 300 pounds. I was extremely out of shape, overweight, ate like garbage, wasn't a very healthy person. So I made the choice to get out of that industry, and I was going to go back to school for photography. So I went and enrolled in, a community college, also got a job as a bouncer, which then I started, the guy who owned the club that I was bouncing for brought me in to work at his retail cigar shop. Did never know I'd be in sales. I always was kind of that guy that was like, I hate salespeople. Like they're slimy and they're sketchy. But what I didn't realize was that the kind of salespeople I hate are the ones that are looking to take advantage of people. When I got into the retail cigar sales, I basically thought to myself, well, hey, if I'm going to be able to serve my customer and I'm going to be able to provide them the best, service and product, I need to know what the hell I'm talking about. And I need to be able to, show the client what they're looking for. So I took it upon myself at the time I'd have been about 20, 21 years old. I wasn't really a big tobacco user, but I started smoking the cigars and learning the different nuances. So which ones were strong or spicy or what the flavor profiles were. And then I would take that. And when guys would come in, let's say they typically bought a $5 cigar. My goal was always to get them to spend like an extra 50 cents or $1 to buy a different stick, even if they just bought one to try it. So I kind of took on this persona of the more I can help people get what they're looking for, the better job I'll be doing. Right. And so at the cigar shop, I went from being just like the checkout guy at the corner I got promoted to being the manager. We ended up going from 300,000 to up over $500,000 a year in revenue. We won best cigar shop in Toledo. So I kind of got this feel for sales. And what was awesome about working in that industry is that we had a lounge where the guys would hang out. So I would get to learn from guys who were making, 6-7 figures a year, and then also get to have chats with guys that were, living paycheck to paycheck. So I was able to absorb a lot of business wisdom, from running the cigar shop and managing it there, but also getting to have these conversations with some of these different, super successful or not so successful individuals. And I always just got to take a lot of knowledge away from that. So a couple years into that position, unfortunately, the owner came in about 2 weeks before Christmas and said, "Hey man, while I appreciate all your hard work and all the great things you've done for me, I got to let you go." And so this was kind of a freaky moment, right? It's 2 weeks before Christmas. Like, I live basically paycheck to paycheck because I'm, 23 years old. And so I was without a job. It's definitely a scary time. Nobody hires anyone right around Christmas. So I spent the next 2 months kind of, I don't want to say wallowing in my pity, but trying to figure out what the hell happened and what the next move was, right? And so one of the clients of the cigar shop called me and said, "Hey man, I know you lost your job and you're trying to figure some things out." He's like, "I work at a furniture store where I'm the manager and we're getting ready to ramp up for our busy tax season." It's like, "I don't know that you could stay full-time forever, but I know we're going to get busy. So if you want to come in, I can just pay you straight commission and you'll be able to put a few bucks in your pocket." I'm like, well, at the time, my in-law was saying, "Hey, I'm going to start this, insurance agency, but it's not for 6 months or so that we're going to open. So I, plan for that at some point, but there's not much you can do." So I thought, well, let me go and do this furniture gig. It's the only position I've got, only opportunity. So I might as well make the best of it. Turns out, furniture is kind of a cool job. I ended up selling, in the 6 weeks that I was there total, I sold just over $150,000 worth of furniture, having zero experience, zero idea what the hell I was doing. But it all came back to my theory of, when people come through the door, if I can serve them and provide them the kind of, first good customer service that I was accustomed to from the cigar shop, but just helping them see, hey, here's what you're looking for. Here's what we can do. Here's the value of this. Are you interested? Yes or no? I ended up doing very well. I was only a few $1,000s shy of selling what the guy who had been there, who brought me in for 10 years, sold. He did like 180. I think I did 150 in that time frame. So it just kind of gave me this drive to go and be successful. So when I inevitably went to the insurance agency, the same thing. I was all about serving the client and providing them as best I could. I ended up creating a ridiculous follow-up process. Anytime someone became a lead, I hit them up, probably 30, 40 times in that first month. And then I had automations, emails, text messages, all the stuff that, the real estate investors in this group should be focusing on, having that system and that process in place, right? Because if you get a lead today, only 5% of people are ready to take action right now. So you've got, out of 100 leads, that means there's 95 of them still sitting out there that are potential. Most people, they call once or twice and then they throw that lead away. They say it's waste. Well, I knew if I was spending $15 for a name and a phone number and an email address, that I sure as shit wasn't going to throw it away after 2 or 3 attempts. Right. And I hope the folks that are watching this would feel the same way. Hey, if you're getting leads for these wholesale deals, whether you're paying $15 or $1,500, that a closed deal could be anywhere from 5 to 10 to $25,000 or $50,000 on a contract, depending on what you've got going on. So why would you make that investment and then not do your due diligence to stay following up on them? So that's what I did with insurance. I just created a ridiculous follow-up game. I was selling, anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 a year in annual premium, somewhere around 50 new policies a month. So I was reasonably successful. I certainly wasn't the best in my area, but I did fairly well. And the thing that happened to me, though, was I worked for somebody else. So I was in that position of, here I am grinding 50, 60 hours a week, putting in the work, while the agent, who is a family member and obviously as always, he's a great dude. I don't have any issues with him, but he's at the country club. He's playing golf 3-4 days a week.
You were making him rich, huh?
Networking, right? And so, I don't want to say I was making him rich. I mean, I know what the numbers were. I was in the business. I was there, but I also know that I only got paid one time. Then he got all the residuals, right? So it was like I was building his long-term wealth. I was getting paid up front, but I knew that, long-term, he was going to be getting wealthy from the work that I was putting in. again, I don't have any hard feelings for him. I love the guy. He's, you know, been a great human being in my life. He's always provided a lot of great opportunity, but I had a conversation with him at one point where I was like, man, I'm struggling mentally. I've plateaued. I can't get past this, you know, $40,000 a month sales mark. I just don't know what to do. I want to be making six figures. I'm making, you know, 35, 40 grand a year, selling a ridiculous amount of premium. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'll never forget, he said something that really shifted my perception on the way I went and looked at things. He said, hey man, you're doing great. Like, you're making more than anybody else in your position. You just got to be patient. You know, 5-10 years from now, you're going to have a building like this. Your name's going to be on the door. It's going to be you making all those residuals. And I just thought to myself, fuck that. No way. I am waiting 5 to 10 years working 50, 60 hour weeks while you're at the, you know, country club network and doing your thing. And again, I don't have any hard feelings. It was his money. He built the business. Like, he earned that right. But I didn't want that. Like, that's not for me. So I started learning how to do lead generation, so generating leads for myself as an insurance agent. Then I started realizing, hey, if I can get leads for my insurance, maybe I can get them from my referral partners, which were loan officers, real estate agents, you know, folks that like the folks that are in this group. Right. And so I took that skill set of learning how to generate leads and I created my own marketing firm. So we created mobile funnels. We started doing lead generation for, you know, insurance, real estate, mortgage officers. That provided me the opportunity to say, hey, I can do this marketing stuff a few hours a week, and I'm making as much doing that as I am working 50 hours a week in insurance. I think this is the right time for me to make that move. So I said, you know, I'm going to start transitioning out of insurance and get into this digital marketing world. And along that path, I got introduced to Ryan and his Break Free Academy. It's the Apex program, got involved in that. And things just kind of started snowballing, man. As all of a sudden I was doing lead generation and marketing, making, you know, $5,000-$8,000 a month there. And then I was given this opportunity to come and work on mindset stuff with Ryan and show people that, yes, while business is important and making sales and doing all that is valuable, there's so much more to being successful, you know, having a great life, being in shape. Like I said, at one point I weighed 315 pounds because I was working third shift and I wasn't eating right. You know, I got in the right group of people. I got on the right track mindset and mentally wise, you know, like I had the right goals. When I got on the scale this morning, I was 195 pounds. You know, my journey has been incredible because I made a decision at one point. You know, my motto is to crush the day before it crushes you. I knew I was sleeping in until 6 every morning, fucking off, not getting enough done. So I made a major change in my life. I said, all right, I'm going to get up at 4:30 every day and work out first thing because I hate working out. So I know if I just get it done first thing, I won't have to worry about it the rest of the day. You know, I started writing down the things that I'm grateful for. I started focusing on not worrying about the negative and only thinking about the outcomes that I'm looking for and making those kinds of shifts. You know, it snowballed, man. I've used to live in Ohio. Now I live in Dallas. It all comes from, you know, making these decisions to go all in on being successful for myself and not letting the excuses and the outside factors come into play to keep me from getting where I want to be. And I know that's kind of a long-winded introduction of myself, but it's just, I want people to realize that when you change your mind and you make a decision to be the most elite version of yourself, there's nothing that can stop you.
Man, and what you just said was so right, and I'm so glad that the folks in this group are getting to hear this, because most of the time, the folks that get involved with wholesaling or real estate investing, you know, they're working some corporate, you know, dead-end job that they hate. They're grinding it out, working ridiculously amount of hours per week, you know, and they feel like something else, you know, that there's more out there. They hear about folks making money doing other things with a lot less effort or work, or if they are putting more effort and work into it, then they're making way more money, right? Which is what they've got right now. The problem is, it's like folks know that other people are doing it, but they don't necessarily, like, there's something that's preventing them from making that jump themselves, whether it's the risk, you know, because they've got family, you know, and I don't want to take a chance of messing that up, you know, with, you know, the bills never stop coming in. You know, maybe there's other things, you know, like maybe time for the family, you know, all these different reasons. Even for myself personally, it was, you know, while I'm not married and I don't have kids, for me, it was a fear of the unknown, right? It's like, you know what you know, and you get in a comfortable position. And me years ago, when I was working in the corporate world, I was making great money. It's like, okay, well, how can I go from this little nest egg to nothing? You know what I mean? And trust the process, you know? So I guess the question that I want to ask you is obviously we understand the transition and the migration of how things ended up, but was there like some moment of truth, some moment in time that just happened that said, you know what, screw this shit, I'm done, you know, like, let me go and make the jump? Was there just something that happened that said, let's go, or did it just kind of transition into that?
So, yeah, that conversation I had with my boss where he said, you know, you just got to be patient. I think that was like a major trigger for me where I went, you know what? Okay, I'm going to be patient, but I'm going to start putting a plan in action. Like I'm going to start figuring out what the next step is, because I'm certainly not going to wait 10 years to get to that point. And I can remember one day, it was right around the time that I was like thinking I should start getting up earlier, because I had always found myself like rolling around in bed, but by like 4:30, 5 o'clock, but I would just snooze until like 6 or 6:30. I'll never forget, I was sitting there in bed rolling around trying to get back to sleep, but I was stressing out over an issue that we had with a client where something happened. They didn't get the coverage the way they thought they would, or I don't remember the exact situation, but like there was an issue with a client who was upset with me for something that was completely outside of my control, and it was causing me to lose sleep over. And so I remember I like got up. It was about 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. I put my headphones in and I just went for a walk. And I walked around the park a couple times. I probably walked, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 miles, just thinking to myself like, dude, it's not fair that I'm losing sleep over something that's completely outside of my control. And this client's upset with me for something that there's just nothing I can do. You know, like I worked for months to bring this client through the door. I sold them one policy for $500, which made me $50 in commission after months of work. And then 3, 4 weeks later, they're like calling and screaming at me and then telling me I'm like all these different, and I'm just like, this is just not worth it. I can't do this. Like I can't live this lifestyle forever. And so that was when I started saying, all right, now I need to figure out, like, I'm going to make that jump. I have a wife. I had a young son. I had a new house that I just bought. Like I had all of these commitments that I just said, well, listen, these are my commitments. These are the things I know have to be done. So I'm going to go and do whatever it takes to make sure that these commitments are, you know, covered. And then I'm also not making just a lateral shift, that what I go and do is going to take me to the level that I want to be on.
Absolutely, man. And I love that. And so let me ask you this, is that obviously there was a moment that got you to that point that said, I can't do this anymore. But you also knew, hey, listen, there was commitments and so forth that you were going to need to do to take care of your wife and kids and so forth. How did you get over that hump, I guess, where, okay, how did you make the risk okay? In other words, you knew that there was risk involved. You knew it could all unravel and fall apart by making that jump. What did you mentally tell yourself that it was going to be okay? And how did you overcome that unknown?
A lot of it came from listening to like motivational podcasts and speeches. So there's a video that Steve Harvey has out called Jump. And anybody that's watching this, if you haven't seen it, just go Google Steve Harvey Jump. And in that video, it's about 6 or 7 minutes long. He goes on to talk about how every successful person that you've ever met that's gone on and created their own business and done all of these things, there was that pivotal moment in their life where they had to jump. And in that video, he talks about, you know, and when you first jump, that parachute's not going to open. You're going to hit the ground. You're going to bounce. You're going to roll. There's going to be some shit that's going to go on, right? But eventually, if you stick to the process, that parachute's going to open and things are going to happen. And so he talks about, you know, there's one of his buddies would never go out and party with him because the guy wanted to, you know, cut grass. Well, now the guy several years later owns a multi-million-dollar grass, you know, landscaping company. So these things, they never happen overnight. But listening to that video made me realize that, first of all, the only way it would ever happen is if I actually made that jump and went for it. And secondly, that if I just trusted the process and stayed to my commitments that I made to myself, it would all be okay. And so I just kind of had to say, like, you know, yeah, it was a risk and it was freaking terrifying, but it was better than the alternative, which was staying where I was.
Well, I love that too. And that's one of the things that you had mentioned before, that you had to make a decision. Okay, maybe you would have had an amazing insurance agency down the road. And in fact, probably not even maybe, you probably been crushing in that industry. But 5 to 10 years of anyone's life is a long stinking time. And just to build up, to make somebody else money and build up their life and to set them up while you're trying to reach that goal, you know, that's kind of, you know, like, well, geez, you know, what am I really doing right there? You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for taking that initiative to say, hey, listen, 5 to 10 years is a big chunk of my life. I don't want to look back and say that I used it to build somebody else's life, to build somebody else's dream. And I think that a lot of folks that are listening right now are in that situation. You know, they're at that job that they don't want. You know, that they don't have the income that they want. They don't have the free time with their family, their friends, and so forth. They're not able to do and enjoy these leisurely things that come with making more money. They just don't necessarily understand, you know, the lifestyles that we have and that we've worked towards now are available to anyone. You know, none of us had, you know, this just amazing upbringing where we were spoon fed and, you know, things were handed out to us. We all were in a situation that was tough, and that we also, you know, well, we could have written it out, you know, probably forever. We knew that that's not what we wanted to do. And we didn't want to be at that position when we were 80 years old, looking back, thinking, you know, why didn't I just make the move? Why didn't I just jump? So, man, I really appreciate you saying that, because there's a ton of people in this group that are crushing it right now. A lot of folks, I talk to them daily, and we're working towards trying to scale them up to that next level. But one of the big things that I'm personally passionate about, and I know you guys are as well, is, you know, getting those people out of the situations that they're in right now that are, you know, I won't say ruin your life, because if you're paying bills and stuff like that, then you're fine, but not living a life of fulfillment, not living the life that you want and that you dreamed of. Because you got to remember, we get one shot at this, right? You know what I mean? We don't get any redos or nothing. So, man, I just think that that's important. I appreciate you sharing that. Anything that you'd like to add to that, Pedro?
Yeah, no. What you were saying for me is comes down to fuck your excuses, right? And like we were talking at the beginning, there's people in here that they have a day job, and then on the side they're trying to build a real estate business. And I know that you've been in that position where you have to take care of something first, make sure your bills are paid, and on the side start building your business. But you also mentioned something that you came out with a process of your follow-up, you know, and I would like you to expand a little bit more on how that was a game changer for you, because I know that when you start building your own systems and processes, your life gets easier. It means, I mean, you can still take care of your job, and then you can still build your business on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of my follow-up process is it's kind of a two-pronged approach, right? So the first part of it is I have a very, very strict structure and routine for my day. So I know that if I'm going to get as much done as necessary, I have to be very intentional with my time and my intentions. So for those of you that are watching, like, let's say you're in that position where you've got like a corporate job and you're trying to build, you know, and expand. So for me, when I was making that shift, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning and working out every morning for an hour, getting up, getting cleaned up, getting my family ready and out the door so that they could have their day. I was working from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock at the insurance agency. I'd come home from 5 to 7 was family time, right? So I'd have dinner, hang out with my wife and my son. But then from 7 to 11 every day, I was upstairs in my office grinding, setting up these systems and processes, knowing that when I did eventually walk away, I needed to have everything in place. And not everything, right? Because nothing's ever perfect, but like I needed to have those systems in place so that it would be automated and efficient. And so the way those systems work is it's all about touch points and staying consistent on that routine. Again, that's why my day is so structured, because I know if it's structured and I'm putting things on the calendar, that calendar is going to hold me accountable. So it's the same thing I do with my follow-up process. So like if I get a lead in, I'll give you the example I use in the insurance agency. It's a little bit different now, but like, so for those of you, if you're getting a real estate lead, When I got a lead that came through as an insurance agent, I called them twice a day for the first 5 days. So there's 10 touches, just phone calls or text messages in the first 5 days. I would send them emails. Like I said, I'd send text messages after 5 days. If they hadn't responded, I'd send a letter to their house with like an estimated quote, like, hey, by the way, you could qualify for this much savings, blah, blah, blah. Then again, on day 8, 10, 15, 21, 28, and day 45. So I had touch points on these people all the way out to 45 days from the time they became a lead. If I didn't hear from them or they didn't respond in that 45 days, I had a system in place that it would move them out another 45 days, and it would set an appointment for me to call. Because like I said earlier, 5% of people that come through as a lead are ready to buy or move forward right now. That leaves 95% of people that you have to have a process for. They may not be ready to buy for a month, 6 months, a year, 6 years even. You never know. The point is you have to have a database. You have to have a place that you're putting all this information and you're tracking it. Because like when I was in insurance, when we started, they sent us out to Cleveland for 2 weeks of training. While we were there, they gave us a big stack of paper leads to call them. They're like, hey, here's some leads, go call them. Well, I kept that stack of leads. When we first started, we didn't have a CRM. Everything was like paper. And like, I just had this huge folder of people's names and notes and shit on it. When I finally got a CRM system and I automated it, all of that information went in there and I continued to follow up with them. There's one story in particular where I had sent a guy text messages and letters for 4.5 years. Every single month, I sent him one text message, one letter. It was just automated. It always went out. That dude called me one night at like 5:30. I was just getting ready to shut down the agency, but he called. He's like, man, Drew, you've been sending me shit for years. What is wrong with you? Man, I've just been waiting for you to call. What's up? And he's like, man, honestly, I've been getting your letters and I've been ignoring you and I want to apologize. But here's the deal, man. I've worked with too many agents over the years. I'm an older guy. He was like in his 50s. And he's like, I've worked with too many agents where they sign me up, they get my money, and then they're gone within 6 to 8 months. And I get shifted around to like 7 different agents who don't know my situation and can't help me. He's like, honestly, I just wanted to see how long you were going to stick around, man. I was like, well, dude, I'm here 4.5 years. And at the time I had 0 plans on shifting. I was like, I'm here, dude. Like this is what we're here for. How can I help you? And so I ended up going on to write his homeowners, 2 automobiles, an extra property, some boats, motorcycle. Like the dude had a whole portfolio of stuff that I ended up bringing into our agency strictly from staying consistent with my follow-up. Same thing with another guy that I talked to, Bill. He called me. We did his quotes, said, all right, follow up with me on Tuesday next week. All right, Tuesday next week, I follow up. Yeah, I'm busy. Get me on Thursday at 2 p.m. All right, Thursday at 2 p.m. I call. Nothing. Call me next week. Call me next week. And so he drugged me out for like 3 or 4 weeks doing this. And I'm just like, what in the world, man? Like, God, kangaroos are just ridiculous, right? And I'll bet some of you that are in this group have had leads that have done this to you, where you get them on the phone and they have a great conversation and then they just string you along, right?
Time, right?
All the damn time. Timing is key, right? But so what happened is I just kept calling the guy when he asked me to call him. I'd reach out if he was busy. No problem, man. When do you want me to reach out again? Like, I'm going to. Just tell me when. All of a sudden, one night, I hear the doorbells chime. In walks Bill with his whole portfolio of policies, 6 cars, 2 houses, life insurance premiums, the whole package. He said, listen, man, I was just testing you. Wanted to make sure you were going to actually follow up with me and call me back the way that you promised. And you did. So I don't even care what the price is. If you're more expensive, it doesn't matter. You get my business. Here you go.
Wow.
And it all comes from that follow-up process.
And that
No
makes a
doubt,
huge difference.
that's something that I've always preached, for sure. Something else that I think is important too that you had touched base on previously as well, and I'd like for you to kind of talk to us a little bit more about it, but it's with micro commitments, because a lot of people, let's say that they get to the point of making that jump and taking that risk, but and they're taking that risk because they see other folks doing really well and they want what they have, right? But a lot of folks end up doing it, taking that risk, and then falling on their face, a month down the road, and they quit, because it's not happening quick enough, because they're trying to compare them to somebody else that had a huge amount of success, not knowing that, hey, the focus and the process is going to get you to that point. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about micro commitments and how it's helped you to become successful?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think micro commitments are huge because the micro commitments that we accomplish actually help us accomplish the major commitments that we make as well. So it's kind of like, for me, I live by the G code. So that's our main mantra here at Apex and the Break Free Academy is we live by the G code. It's pretty simple. It's 4 Gs: gratitude, genetics, grind, and group. If you hit all 4 of those areas every single day, it's just like inevitable. Every person that I've seen that's done this is living a better life. So what does that mean? So the micro commitments there are the first thing I do every single day is I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. Starting my day in a grateful mindset sets the tone for the rest of the afternoon. So instead of me rolling over and looking at an email where somebody's, backed out of a deal or some other shit has gone haywire, I ignore that for like the first 60 minutes of my day. I go right to my phone. I have an app called the G Code app where I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. I do a little bit of meditation, and then I put on some sort of positivity, like, motivational YouTube video or something like that. That's the gratitude. So that's the first thing I'm committed to doing every single day. I wake up and I purposely force myself to think about what I'm grateful for and why I'm happy to be alive that day. Because like you said, man, 10, 15 years, that's a long time, but we may never get that. So what we do today is important because what we do today helps us have a better life today, but then also sets us up for a better life in the future. That's why I said these micro commitments lead to the major stuff, right? So the second thing I do is I walk my fat butt downstairs and I get on my trainer and I do some sort of workout. Usually for me, I love cycling. So I get on, I do about an hour of cardio on the bike, somewhere, 15, 20 miles ridden every day. That's my commitment every single day is that I'm going to do something physical for about 30 to 60 minutes to make sure that I'm staying active and healthy. 2 reasons. First of all, I want to live a long time and enjoy the success that I'm creating for myself. It doesn't make any sense for myself or anyone in this group to go on to become a 6-7 figure earner, but let their body get so out of shape that by the time they've made that money, they don't actually get the chance to enjoy it because they have to spend it all on getting healthy again. Like that doesn't make any sense. So focus on my genetics, right? I work out every single day. And then I hit the grind, man. I work hard. Like every single day I have my entire calendar is packed. So like today I had 5 different interviews scheduled. So 5 different 1-hour interviews that I'm doing today. But I'm going to get them all done because they're on my calendar. So I know that each day, if I have my calendar filled, I'm going to have my work, my grind is already going to be laid out. I know what to expect. I know what to focus on. I have a plan for how I'm going to crush the day, which means that I'm going to have wins every single day. So at the end of the day, or whenever I'm, throughout the day, if I have something that's like a major win for me, I write it down. Because we all go through these phases where it's like, oh, I'm having an off day, or the force of average is kicking me in the ass. Well, guess what? You know what? At any given time, I can go back to my phone and my app, and I can look and say, hey, here's all the things that I'm grateful for today. Just one more reason to be happy that I'm alive. No matter what the struggle is or what issues I'm dealing with, here's the things that I'm grateful for. If I'm feeling like, man, I haven't closed a deal in a couple of days, like I'm a loser. I'm not a loser. I've got day after day filled with wins, things that I've accomplished, things that I've taken care of because I made the micro commitment to myself to track them, to write them down and actually be intentional about remembering them. Because when things happen, you don't remember those wins that you had. You're only focusing on the negative. So having the ability to go back and look through that app and say, hey, here's where I won. Here's where I won. Oh shit, I forgot about that. That was a major win. That's awesome. It gets I like just saying those things. I can feel in myself right now, like motivation and inspiration to get back out there and crush it. So that's that micro commitment of tracking wins leads to more wins, right? Then the last thing I do is I always focus on at least one person in my group every single day. So for you guys today, I'm spending time here with you. So you're going to go in my app of who did I focus on today? Well, I'm focused on Trevor and Pedro, and I'm focused on the Real Estate Investors Network. I'm focused on the thousands of people who might see this video and get just one small little piece of information that they get to take away that allows them to change their life for the better. Maybe it doesn't make them a multimillionaire, but you know what? Maybe they decide, hey, I'm going to get up a little earlier and work out, and they lose weight, and then they meet the love of their life. That's a priceless thing that could happen. You know what I mean? So like those little micro commitments and forcing myself to hit those 4 areas every single day, it has led me to doing some much bigger, more incredible things, like selling over $1 million worth of courses in the first 9-10 months of coming into this business, to creating my own course. I never would have thought I could create my own course, but I did. And within 3 months, we've got well over 300 people that have joined it. Like,
and
the
let's talk
little
about
things.
that real quick too, because the folks that are in this group too, I know that they're seeing the memes that I'm putting out every now and then, and man, they're cracking up. They think it's hilarious, and I'll tell you, boy, those memes talk to folks. People recognize it. People see it. They get a little bit of laugh. It engages them. It pulls them in. What led you to, for number one, I guess, you know, it's called Closer Memes, and they can get that at what, closermemes.com, correct? But
Closermemes.com.
tell us a little bit more about what Closer Memes is and how it might be able to help some folks in this group.
Yeah. So, man, crazy stuff. I love memes. I always have. I've always thought meme culture was just this really interesting trend and thing to follow. It's got like its own little like sub society of people in it. And so I've always just enjoyed memes. Well, being kind of a goofy, weird, quirky guy as I am, I've implemented memes into a lot of my conversations. So like I do a lot on Facebook, either in the DMs or in comments or in groups like this, right? And so I was like really heavy into using GIF responses for everything. So instead of like typing out a long paragraph and trying to be wordy or witty, I would just put a GIF response, and it started to get like this, you know, attractive. Like people were just like, that's hilarious. Like your GIFs are great, dude. You're posting all these funny GIFs, right? And so then I started doing some memes too and intermixing them in with my sales and follow-up process. Because here's what I realized, like, big business is using memes. You know, like Bloomberg just paid some multi-millions of dollars to interns to go and create a bunch of memes for his political campaign. That's recent. But even in prior years, like people have been using memes for a long time.
Geico is real big on them.
Geico, yeah.
One of the biggest advertising marketing agencies in the world probably these days. They meme the shit out of everything. You can't get away from it because it's simple. People relate. They get a little bit of a chuckle from it, and it gets them engaged. Right.
Exactly. And so that's what I realized, is that within my sales and follow-up process, I was using memes. So like when people would talk to me and then go ghost, I was sending them some kind of GIF of a dude that was like poking his head and going, "Hey man, you good? Like, what's up? You cool?" And so it started getting responses, because it's not your typical like, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up. Would you still like me to buy your stuff? Hey, will you buy my shit? Hey, can I sell you something?" Like that gets old. "Hey, I'm just checking in on you. Just wanted to follow up." Like that's boring. That's stupid. Like But you send them a GIF, you send them a meme, all of a sudden it's a pattern interrupt, right? So then they're like, "This guy, he's silly. I like him." And I found that I was getting a ton of responses by doing this. So I thought, well, what is my process? Like when I go to create a meme, like what's the process that I go through? And could I teach this to others? And so I kind of sat back and I said, all right, well, when I make a meme, here's like the 6 or 7 steps that I go through. Here's how I create the actual meme. And then here's how I implement it. And so I just broke it down piece by piece and recorded some training videos and made a course out of it.
Man, that's crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it works. People love it, man. You're helping a lot of people through the Closer meme.
Oh yeah, I love it for sure. And I'll tell you something too, is that back before you even created this Closer memes, I remember you talking about using little memes and GIFs to get people's attention. And one of my go-tos, and I would definitely share this with the group as well, is that the little Ace Ventura standing at the peephole saying, "Hello, is anybody in there?" You know, kind of a thing. Every time that somebody goes to me and stops talking to me, I don't care how many messages I've sent, that one little GIF seems to do it. "Hello, are you there? Is anybody there?" And I think, Drewbie, you're the one that told me to use that. I mean, that one's been out for a long time, but I think you originally told me to use that, and I've used it ever since, and it truly works. And it works nearly every single time, too. So this goes to show
And I've been seeing a lot of people now in real estate start to use memes like everywhere, you know.
Here's the thing about memes is that just about everybody likes them in some fashion. They may not love them, and you know, like that may not be their thing, but 9 out of 10 people will stop and take a quick glance at a meme, because there's a couple reasons. Well, first of all, everybody typically loves memes. So when you see that, your brain triggers you to go, hey, what's funny about this image? What is it that they've done? What, like what's different, right? And so that's the hardest thing with marketing in general, is getting someone to stop long enough to have their attention. So a meme does that. Even if you have like a viral trending meme where, like let's take Baby Yoda, for instance. There are hundreds of thousands of Baby Yoda memes, but if you saw one while you were scrolling right now, odds are you're going to stop and look at it so that you can see if it's a meme you've already seen, or if it's new, or if it's funny, or like you're going to stop and look at it. So people do the same thing, with memes. The difference is, instead of using the meme just to be like funny and witty, I've taught people how to craft the meme in a way that speaks to their ideal client, pushes on the pain points or the pleasure of why that client would do business with the person creating the meme, right? So that's the key, is where can you create that emotional connection between the scene in the meme, the context or the ad copy that you put with it, and show that it basically walks them almost like a funnel, right? So like, hey, you get them to stop and look at it. Then you have your copy that intrigues them. And then you have a call to action or something for them to do. Typically that's going to come in the text above the meme, but maybe it's right in the meme itself. I've had memes that I've made where it's just like, hey, if you'd like to get this, and then there's a scene and it go visit, whatever. So it's basically like, hey, if you want what's going on here that from seeing this movie in the past, you need to take this next step. And so that's the process that I use. And getting attractive marketing out there, creating memes and having someone reach out and is like, oh man, I saw your meme. That's hilarious. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? That's a warm lead. Like you can't get somebody that's more interested than a direct message to you. That's like, hey, I love that meme. Can you tell me more about what you do?
Yeah, I dig it. And it's all about the pattern and pattern disrupt too, getting those folks to stop and pay attention for a second to what you're saying. Because you're right, man, everybody's moving so fast. We're living life in the fast lane. Obviously everybody that's listening right now is on Facebook, no doubt. But think about all of the advertising that they scroll past. That's the meme is something that's going to get them to stop, and it's going to have a message, and hopefully it leads to a conversion or a conversation and so forth.
Absolutely, man. And that's the cool thing about it, is you can use memes in just about every area. You can use it for building your brand and awareness. You can use it in your advertisements. You can use it during your sales and follow-up process. You can use it even for creating referral opportunities, so you could have a meme that basically is like, how you feel after we've completed your job. And then it's like some guy smiling. And then you could send that meme, and then underneath it, you could be like, hey, we just want to make sure you feel like John in the picture above. If you feel that way, we're super excited. We'd love for you to go and leave a 5-star review, or send us somebody, in your friends or family that could do with, the same business, or might do well from getting the same kind of service you've received today.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
So simple. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't have to be complicated either,
Absolutely, man.
So,
and that's the thing about, humans in general, is we complicate shit, and it comes back to the guys that are like, well, I want to quit my 9-to-5, but then they've got like a whole list of things or reasons why they can't do it. Well, guess what? Instead of saying, these are the reasons I can't do it, here are the things I have to figure out how to fix. You got to make that shift, right? Like, hey, here are the things that I need to change in order to achieve this goal. Not, I can't achieve this goal because of these things. Here are the roadblocks. So what are the ramps that I'm going to build to get over these roadblocks? What is the method I'm going to use to make this so that it's not a problem anymore, so that I can get to my ultimate goal, which is financial freedom, which is, quitting my 9-to-5, or whatever that might look like for the folks who are watching.
Right. Yeah, totally makes sense, man.
I don't know if you guys can hear me now or not. I just turned the TV on down here. I apologize. But man, Drewbie, I want to say thanks for coming on the show today, man. I know, again, your day is full all day, every day, just like you spoke of. And as we all should be, we should all be blocking out our time. So I think that hopefully one of the big takeaways that our audience has gotten from this today is that, number one, time management is huge. You know what I mean? You got to be able to manage your day. Second of all, you've got to have the mindset and a process to trust that, hey, listen, I'm never going to have what I don't go for. You know what I mean? And so if there's a life out there that I want for myself and my family, don't I owe it to myself to go for it? You know what I mean? And so, man, I just want to say we're extremely grateful for having you on as a guest today. I know that the folks listening have gotten a lot of value out of this. Hopefully, man, one day we can have you on again as well.
I would appreciate that, man. I've had a lot of fun. I would, I love hanging out with you fellas. Like I said, it was an honor to be invited on here. I sometimes, don't always feel like I know what the hell I'm doing. So when when I'm working with people and they're telling me that the things I'm telling them are making them successful, like that's such a great feeling. And, having you guys and seeing your success using the memes and building this, this interview process and doing all these things, man, it just goes to show that you really can do anything that you want to do when you put your mind to it. And I'm just so proud of you guys and so honored to be a part of this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it being here.
Thanks again. And
where people can find more about the meme course, because I know a lot of real estate investors here would like to implement that in their strategies, and they should, they should.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Already doing it.
𝗥𝗲𝗹 So check it out. You feel free to pick up the course. It's $47. I mean, you've probably spent money on way dumber things. I promise you will take this course and the value
more than on McDonald's this week, right?
Hey, so Pete's. But no, man, feel free. Drewbie Rides on Facebook. Drewbie Wilson is my name. Obviously, if you're watching this, feel free to connect with me, add me, follow me. I like to put out a lot of content. Again, my big thing, man, is just providing value to people, trying to help them in any way that I can, whether it's a piece of wisdom or advice on, sales and marketing tactics, whatever that is. My goal is really just to help more people be successful, because I know that the success I bring to others will increase the amount of success that comes through my life as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you again. And guys, we want to thank everybody for tuning in this week to the Real Talk with Real Estate Investors. Just like Drewbie said, you know how to reach out to him. If you guys need any help, please do so. He is there to help, as well as myself and Pedro as well. If there's anything we can do to help you guys, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, want to thank you for coming on. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
You know what I say? Crush the day before
care,
it crushes you.
Hell yeah.